Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to tonight's edition of Everton 24/7 after what has been a rather quiet Monday. Nevertheless, I'm going to start with a name that's already been thrown around in the past few weeks, and that's resurfaced today, Bertrand Traore. Football Insider believe that he is our transfer priority as soon as we conclude the Andre Gomez deal, whenever that may be. With 11 goals in all competitions for Lyon last season, he would top all bar Richarlison and Sigurdsson in terms of goal output if he was to be with us last season. So maybe there is a case for signing him, but as I stated regarding perhaps David Neres yesterday, we should be looking to strengthen the weaker areas of the team that Marco Silva and Marcel Brands have stated: right back, centre back, out and out striker. Perhaps that's more important before we address a winger situation, and even then, I would rather us try for David Neres or maybe Malcolm. I just think that there's a bit more about those two than Traore from what I've seen of them. A brief word on Neres. Ajax have just bought Quincy Promes today, so there might just be a winger on his way out. Not necessarily, but just saying. But staying in France now, and Raphael Leao from Lille has been linked, and that is because his agent Luis Campos has spoken to Foot Mercato in France about the striker's future. Despite only being a Lille player for a year now, they may be willing to sell him for the right price. He was quoted as saying, "Raphael Leao is a player with a lot of future. Our idea is to keep him here, but if there are irrefutable proposals, we can't say no." Now, that's encouraging, and for me personally, this is the kind of rumour I get excited about. He's a Portuguese striker, he's only just turned 20, performing very well in Ligue 1. He only scored 8 goals last season, but that's still much better than any of our out-and-out strikers managed last year. At 6'2", he's a good physical focal point for our attacks. He's actually very similar, I think, to Calvert-Lewin in terms of his build and his playing style. But in many ways, it's very similar, but he has that eye for goal, I think, that perhaps Dom doesn't have yet. And a bit younger, I mean, we was discussing this about Calvert-Lewin the other day, but this may be a striker who has a bit more of a natural goal scorer's instinct than Calvert-Lewin. It does seem like something that would really fit the bill, both for Silva's playing style and also for Brands' recruitment policy. Another popular striker who's been rumoured recently, and Moise Kean was linked last week, and those rumours look to have been put to bed when the Italian youngster was set to sign a new contract last week with Juventus. But now, he and his teammate for the Italian under-21s, Nicola Zaniolo, were late to a meeting with the Italian under-21s manager Luigi Di Biagio, and he's disciplined them. As a result of that, apparently Juventus officials aren't best pleased with his behaviour, and Juve may well withhold that contract offer for the time being after questioning his discipline. This might just open the door to a potential signing for Everton. They may listen to offers. I highly doubt there's that much in this rumour. I don't think Juventus would risk losing their young protege, their young superstar, over something so petty like this, given the talent he has and what he has to offer Juventus. Okay, he might have to get his act together a little bit, but surely it's not the worst thing in the world to turn up a bit late to a training meeting. Surely it can't be any more than a slap on the wrist, especially if it might be his first time. All I can say is, thank God Andy van der Meijden never played for Juventus. On to potential outgoings now, and a very much forgotten man in the form of Luke Garbett. He looks set to move permanently now to Oxford United after impressing on loan last year, as did many of the other players we seem to be getting shut of at the moment. I'll be honest with you, I completely forgot about Luke Garbett. I didn't realise just how old he is. At 26, he's actually older than 5 of the 6 players we signed last transfer window last summer. As I reiterated yesterday when I was discussing the absurdity of the Kieran Tierney rumours, we are already well stocked on left backs, and there's almost certainly no future for Luke Garbett at Everton, so the sooner we can sell him permanently, the better, I think. It's unbelievably that it's been 4 years now since we were in a contract wrangle with him, trying to convince him not to leave on a free after impressing in that 2014-15 season. At that stage, many believed he could be the man to succeed Leighton Baines, who thought it. And since then, his career's just gone backwards. Plenty of loans, a few injuries, and it seems as if anything, he's just constantly dropping down the divisions. Oxford are, of course, a mid-table League One side, finished 12th in League One last year. And it looks as if the third tier beckons on a more permanent basis for a once coveted and very promising young left-back. Now moving on to a former player who's long retired and at one stage was a potential candidate to be Everton manager prior to the appointment of Marco Silva last year, and that is Mikel Arteta. Now, he could be set to replace Rafa Benitez at Newcastle after the news broke this morning that Benitez is leaving Newcastle at the end of his contract pretty much next week. Mikel Arteta is the bookies' favourite, which I find really surprising. And there's a number of reasons for that. I think Arteta has no experience as a first team manager, as a number one. And imagine for his first big job in a hot seat, he would rather go maybe somewhere without all the baggage that Newcastle comes with, particularly as he'd not only have to succeed Rafa Benitez, who's been a very popular manager on Tyneside, but on top of that, it's not the best squad. It's not the most stable place to work, and he's also have to learn to work alongside Mike Ashley, which that's a working relationship that even the most hardened Premier League coaches, Sam Allardyce, have struggled to make work. So I don't think it's a good career move for those reasons. Would he swap the comfort zone of being Pep Guardiola's assistant at City for that kind of instability in his first ever number one job? I personally doubt it, and I can't see Arteta managing Newcastle next season, or for any Premier League team that matter. I think he'll still be City's assistant. I think if he is to become a number one manager, he will end up leaving the Premier League. It's too much of a pressure cooker. I can't see it happening. Well, that's as far as we can go on Monday's rumour mill. It's not been the most busy of days, but still be sure to give us your opinions on these rumours in the comments below. And be sure to tune in for tomorrow's Everton 24/7 report, where hopefully we'll have some much more concrete news to bring you. But until then, thanks for watching again on the Toffee Blues.